We're here for the first episode of the Press Box Sports Show, brought to you by SiouxSports.com. I'm your host, Jay Houselander, my co-host, Tony Bonifera. How are you today, Tony?
I'm great, Jay. Excited to be here and excited to kind of get started on this. And
Next one, big hot topic. We'll try to keep the language clean on this one. But the Algoma Public Health Unit recommending to the high school boards of education to cancel sports.
Yeah.
It wasn't, to me, the board's decision really to do it, but the pressure from Algoma Public Health. As me reaching out to Jennifer Liu at Algoma Public Health to make a comment, 2 emails, never heard anything back from her.
Yeah,
Your thoughts on canceling what we're losing: basketball, boys basketball, hockey, wrestling, badminton, girls volleyball, going to at least the new year. Your thoughts?
I have quite a few thoughts. I just don't know where to start. So, I think this is the thing that bothers me. Is, listen, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm double vaxxed. I think people should get vaccinated. But I also understand how dangerous COVID is and how dangerous it can be. So I do get that aspect of it. But I also wish that these people in charge would also think about the effects of not doing extracurriculars. And I'm not even talking about just sports. I'm talking about extracurricular activities in general. That's theater, that's every other club that there is out there that these schools have. What about the children's mental health? What about our high school students and these kids' mental health? What's more dangerous? Is COVID more dangerous? Or is the fact that, that 6'4" awkward kid who can't do much, but for some reason he's a stud on the basketball court and that's his outlet. That's what he does. And now all of a sudden you're taking that away from this kid?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
If you read my shirt right now, sports save lives.
Yeah.
And it comes to mental health, and you work in the mental health field, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's the biggest thing. It's really affecting these kids' mental health, right?
For sure. And it's not just sports. I mean, you look at theater. I mean, I know, I was in theater when I was in high school, right? I was in Oliver and stuff back in high school at theater SMC, and that was a big deal. And again, you're these, there's kids trying to find themselves in high school, and there's something about a theater club that actually brings these kids out of the woodwork, and you see them and they can excel. And I've read all the stats. I understand that Algoma in the schools is per 100,000 people. I think Algoma has 127 cases per 100,000 people, which is the highest in the province by a significant margin.
But not one case from high school sports or high school theater.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, yes, those things can happen, but I think in the bigger picture, I think taking these extracurriculars away from kids is worse than the disease itself. That's my opinion, right? So, but again, it's infuriating. Now, the other thing about that is I don't think APH really knows what's going on all the time either. I have like 5 different jobs. Obviously, I work with different organizations and different groups. Well, a coworker of mine tested positive for COVID. Me and my other coworker who were working with this person for a while, we both called APH. My one coworker was told that they had to isolate and and wait get a test done, and once the test comes back negative, you're good to go. I called APH 5 minutes later, spoke to a different person, and a different person told me as long as I'm double vaxxed and have no symptoms, I'm fine to go on with my everyday life.
If I'm close to understanding here.
So it's bothersome to me that people are being told different things by the same organization, right? And I think that, again, we don't know who's making these decisions, right? Whenever we hear APH, whenever we hear Algoma Public Health, we don't know if it's one person making the decision. We don't know if it's a board of people making the decision. I wish there was some accountability as to who's making these decisions.
And that's why I reached out.
Yeah. So that's kind of my take on it. And again, I think it's important that everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants everyone to be healthy. APH obviously thinks that they're doing the right thing in terms of keeping people healthy. And again, they are making these recommendations, right? So recommendations are just that, but do they also have to be taken, right? And that's the other kind of fine line that people need to talk about.
I guess when it comes to school board, you're gonna like I say, decide on the side of caution, right?
Yeah, err on the side of caution.
And that's understandable, but it's something we're huge supporters of the Sioux Greyhounds,
Yeah.
and this is not against the Greyhounds,
No.
but the Greyhounds are allowed to play.
Yeah.
Anybody below that, Sioux Thunderbirds in the NOJHL, have to play out of town.
Yeah.
This past weekend, prime example, U14s, U12s, U10s, all Greyhounds, all went out of town. Sudbury, Southern Ontario, they played. They come back. The U14s
Yeah.
are going back into the high schools with these kids.
Yeah.
Where this weekend we have more teams going out of town. Thunderbirds might have to go to Blind River or play out of town. So again, not against the Greyhounds, but the APH says Greyhounds, you're allowed to play. Where's the decisions being made?
Yeah, and again, that just comes back to I think we the people deserve some answers as to who's making these decisions that are affecting our lives. Why is it just an organization that's being thrown under, or not? I don't want to say thrown under the bus, because again, they're trying to do what they think is best.
Yep.
But why is, when everyone, you ask anyone throughout town, what do you think of APH? They're all going to give you the same answer.
Yep.
You know, so my thing is who's making these decisions, and there needs to be accountability for those people, so we know what's going on. I think, and making these decisions to affect to affect these kids, right?
And going back, it'd be something different if this was the last time this year. Nobody was playing sports.
No, exactly.
Or again, we commentated and streamed the U18. There were some ways to do sports.
Yeah.
But now, realistically, other than you go to the borders of Echo Bay and the borders of Hayden for Sault Ste. Marie, the rest of the provinces is still doing it. So it's
absolutely.
And when we reached out or whatever else, we hear the APH has recommended not to do these things.
Yeah.
But not really giving us a. Pee Wee's still allowed to practice.
Yeah.
So it's just not giving real reasons why or why not things are being taken away.
So high school basketball, simplest solution you can have. Every high school sport. They've done it in Sioux, Michigan. Jay, I have video of it. They wore masks. Are wearing masks during basketball, is it annoying? Is it a pain? Sure, maybe. But let these kids, like when Sioux, Michigan was having 200 or 300 cases a day in Sioux, Michigan, with a population of what, like 15,000 people, they were still playing basketball, but everyone had to wear masks.
Dave Zagordo at St. Mary's, he's the boys at Sault Ste. Marie boys athletic director or president.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him last week, and we did an interview with him just after this came out. And I said to him, he goes, he actually Monday morning went in and he said to the kids in his phys ed class and played on some of the teams, would you wear a mask for practice? And they're like, Coach, we'd rather not, but if we can get on the floor and play.
Absolutely.
Like wrestling, when 2 days before this was out, wrestling, I was at St. Mary's, they were practicing because they were allowed to.
Yeah.
Even the wrestlers said we'd wear a mask. It'd be a pain, but they'll do it, right?
Again, I just think that these people need to think about the best interest of everybody, right? And I think that they're very short-sighted in what they're looking at in terms of how this is affecting our youth. That's what I think.
And since March 2020, and again, I'm not putting it on just the APH, and I'm maybe throwing the Ford government under the bus a little bit more.
Yeah.
They're realizing now it's easy to take things away from us now.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately, as a society, we're saying we can't do anything about it, and that's. I'm not trying to get political, but it's just making the governments and these agencies now easier just to take things away when things are happening.
So I often find that Canada is, 6 to 8 months behind the States in a lot of things, right? It's almost like
there is no COVID over there,
That's my
right?
point. So when I had to go down to the States October 31st weekend, I was down in Detroit. And I'm telling you, man, I crossed the border because I'm a dual citizen, so it was my first time crossing the border. I understand it's a different country, but I felt like I was going back in time because I was the only person wearing masks. A mask. Sorry, I should say.
Was it like I'm not a big fan of it, but was it like The Walking Dead?
Kind of.
Like The Walking Dead where nobody was.
No, I know. Kind of. But I don't want to say I was the only person, but I was one of the few people wearing masks. I was so paranoid. I wore gloves when I was gassing up at the gas stations, right? And it's almost like COVID didn't happen over there. And I think people over there are finally suffering from COVID fatigue and whatever it is. And I do start to see that happening here in Canada. So, again, they can say that they can try and take this stuff away. But again, I think it's important to say, though, APH isn't taking this stuff away. APH is simply making a recommendation. So there's a
Yeah.
difference, right? So it's not like this is all on EPH. They're simply giving the recommendation, and the school boards are obviously following it, and other organizations are following it because for a variety of reasons, but they're kind of hands are tied.
Our biggest thing is we just want to know why,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yes,
my thing.
we can look at stats, say, oh,
Yeah.
numbers are up. This is why
Yeah.
they're taking away.
What's
But to
the
me,
logic?
there's
Yeah.
more logic behind it. Exactly.
Absolutely. What's the thought process that leads to these decisions? That's what we should be entitled to know, and that's what we should have a right to know. Is what's the thought process that led to this, and why is this going to
And
happen?
we're the only city. We're Sudbury and North Bay. Our numbers are almost the same.
Oh, I know. And look what's happening to the bars and restaurant facilities here in town. I mean, it's insane. COVID isn't being spread at restaurants. COVID's being spread at schools, other places like that. So why is the restaurant industry being punished still? Like, I just don't think that's fair.
Hairdressers, like we
Yeah,
can get off the,
hairdressers, everywhere.
just on
So,
the to
Yeah.
me, and I'm not trying to get political. To me now, it's an epidemic, not a pandemic.
yeah,
But it's something. The sports again, because we're sitting here talking sports, is taking the biggest hit, right?
yeah, absolutely. It's just something that just people are these kids need an outlet. They can't sit in front of a TV screen all day or a computer screen or a phone. They need an outlet, and sports is one of the few outlets that kids have right now. I mean, what else are they going to do?
Go back to the way football was at the starting of the year this year, and it's something you don't really want to see, and it
Yeah.
benefited to sports.
Yeah.
But let's eliminate the parents or the fans
Yeah.
if that's going to help. Not that that's what the kids want,
No, I
but
know.
if it gets them on the court,
Yeah.
it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. There's no reason why there can't be something that happens. So
So-
anyway, I don't want to beat a dead horse.
No,
here,
again,
but,
we could be here forever. So
yeah,
like you
but
say,
I do think it's important that that's discussed, and you know what? Hopefully, keep sending her emails, keep reaching out to her, and hopefully someone at APH will at least try and offer some sort of explanation. And by all means, they're always welcome on the show if they ever want to come and give their side
Yep.
up. It would gladly
or
have
we can
them, so.
do it remotely
Yeah,
even if they want.
absolutely.
And